glad to be back. Are you happy to be back?
Yes, I'm so happy to be back with
Yes.
yet another very interesting lesson.
Yes.
Where we're going to see more about the children of Israel.
Yes, we are going to continue talking about the children of Israel and what happened to them.
Yes.
But before we go on, we need to remember, what did we learn last time?
So last time we learnt about how God led the children of Israel through the wilderness.
Yes, he led them through the wilderness. What is the wilderness, Teacher Rachel?
The wilderness is the desert. That's a place where it's dry and there's no plants, there's no water.
Yes.
It's just a dry place and it's so hot in the wilderness.
Yes, the wilderness is exactly what she has said. A very dry place and there's no water.
Yeah.
Okay? And the other thing that's there in the wilderness, it's just open.
Yeah.
There are no roads.
Yes, no trees, no paths.
Yes, there are no roads, there are no paths, there are no trees.
Yeah.
Okay? But the children of Israel needed to go through the wilderness.
Yeah.
Yes. So how are they going to be able to go through the wilderness?
So God knew how he was going to take them through the wilderness. You
Yes.
remember we said God did not want to take them through the shortcut?
Yes.
Yeah, so God provided a pillar of cloud
Yes.
that led them by day and a pillar of fire that led them by night.
Yes, so they had something that was guiding
Yeah,
them.
yes.
Yeah, we all know nowadays we use what we usually use, either a GPS,
Yes.
and then or maybe we look at road signs and we look at all these things, but they did not have that.
Yeah.
So what they used was what God provided for
Yes.
them, and which was a pillar.
A pillar of cloud,
yes.
by day and a pillar of fire
By night, yes. The other thing that we also need to learn is that the pillar of fire and the pillar of cloud did two other things for them. What did you think they did for them?
So, as we all know, the desert is very hot
Yes.
during the day. So the pillar of cloud provided a shield for the children of Israel from
Yes.
the hot sun
Yes.
in the desert.
Yeah.
Whereas the pillar of fire provided light during the night,
Yes.
and it also provided warmth. As we all know, it's very, very, very cold in the desert during
Yes.
the night.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it was not just to guide them through, to show them where to go,
Yes.
but God also took care of them. So they
Yes.
were not very hot,
Yes.
and neither were they very cold.
Yes.
Okay? So
Yeah.
this is what was happening to the children of Israel when they were in the desert. Something else, the pillar of fire and the cloud also did. Okay? When it stopped,
They stopped.
Yes, when it stopped, they stopped. And then when it moved, they also
also moved,
Okay,
yeah.
so this time they have stopped and they have camped.
Yeah.
And they are just sitting and they are enjoying it themselves.
Yeah,
Okay? Then on the other side in Egypt, there is the king of
Pharaoh.
Egypt. Yes, Pharaoh. Pharaoh was there. And Pharaoh was sitting on his throne and he's thinking, now what have I done?
Oh my God.
Yes, he was regretting. He was asking himself, what have I done? Why have I let the Israelites go?
Oh, so he had forgotten about the 10 plagues that had made him let the children of Israel go.
He had completely forgotten. And the
Wow.
only thing he was thinking about was, who is going to build all these pyramids?
Okay.
Who is going to do all the work here in Egypt?
So he needed his slaves back.
He wanted his slaves to come back. That was a very sad thing.
Yeah.
Now remember, the children of Israel are already out in the wilderness,
Yeah.
in the desert, and they are camping there. But Pharaoh is regretting. Do you know what Pharaoh did?
What did Pharaoh do?
Pharaoh called out for the chariots. He called out for the charioteers. He called out for the horses and all the soldiers in Egypt. And he called them and he told them, I want you to go and follow the Israelites out in the desert.
What? And
Yes.
bring them back.
He wanted the slaves to come back.
Oh,
Can you imagine? That was a very sad thing.
Yeah.
So now, remember the children of Israel. Where are they?
they're in the wilderness.
Yes. And what
Yeah.
are they doing?
They're camping because the pillar had stopped, so
Yes.
they were camping besides the Red Sea.
Yes, they were
Yes.
camping besides the Red Sea because the pillar had stopped. Now, the reason why they had stopped at that particular area is because the Red Sea was in front of them, okay? And that's the only reason. So they were thinking, we will wait here until God gives us direction
Yeah.
and tells us where to go. So they were camping at the Red Sea,
Okay, yeah.
And then somebody, when they were camping over there, one of the Israelites was walking around, and you will not believe what he saw. Do you know what he saw?
What did he see?
He looked out far in the desert and he could see a cloud of dust coming up, and he was thinking, what is that? And when
Those
he
are
looked,
the walls of The chariots of war.
Yes, when he looked a bit closer, he could actually see that there were chariots. And he was worried. And he went around the camp running and telling everybody, I can see the Egyptians coming. I can see the Egyptians coming. And everybody, all the Israelites, they got so worried. And they were like, what are we doing here? And they started running around. They're scared.
Yeah,
and they're scampering.
Coming for them.
Yes, and they're scampering everywhere. And they could remember how they were treated in Egypt. And the way the soldiers could actually, the workmasters could whip them. And they were so worried and they were scared. And they started scampering around. And you know what they did? One of them went to Moses and said, Moses, why did you bring us here? Look, we have stopped here in the desert. We are in the wilderness. What are we going to do?
Look, complained again.
They were complaining and they were saying, look at Pharaoh. He's coming for us with the chariots. What are we going to do? So do you know what Moses did? Moses looked at them and told them to be still and to see the deliverance of the Lord. And you know what he told them? That these Egyptians you see here, you shall see them no more. Okay? So what the children of Israel did is they listened to what Moses told them. So the first instruction is he told them to be still. The second thing that he told them is to march forward. Okay? Do you remember what was in front of them?
The Red Sea.
The Red Sea.
So how are they going to get through the Red Sea?
Yes, I am sure the children of Israel were asking themselves that question. But when Moses told them to march forward, they listened to instructions and they started gathering their things and they started marching forward. So let me tell you what God did. You remember the pillar of cloud?
Yes.
You remember it was in front of them?
Yes.
So what God did is he allowed this pillar of cloud not to be in front of them anymore, but to go behind them.
Oh, okay. So now the pillar of cloud moved from the front to the back of the Israelites?
Yes.
Okay, so now they could not see the Egyptians?
Yes, you're right. They could not see the Egyptians because the pillar of cloud had actually come and it was right there between them. So the Israelites were moving forward and the Israelites could not see the Egyptians and also the Egyptians could not see the Israelites. So that helped the Israelites to be able to listen to Moses' instructions and they continued marching forward towards the Red Sea. So as they continued marching, they got to the edge of the Red Sea. What were they going to do? And do you know, children, the sea is big.
Kid, you can't swim through the sea.
No, you can't swim. It's not like a river. You cannot be able to swim. But let me tell you what God did. He gave Moses another instruction. And he told Moses to lift up his staff. You remember Moses had a staff. So he was told to lift up his staff. And when he lifted up his staff, you will not believe what happened. There was a great wind that came from the east and it blew and came into the Red Sea, and the moment the wind blew, the water in the Red Sea parted and it went up on both sides. Can you imagine? So the children of Israel were looking and they were thinking, oh my goodness, look at the sea. It has just opened up. It has parted. And they could see the dry ground.
In the middle of the sea.
In the middle of the sea.
The children of Israel are there and they're looking. This is the Red Sea. And immediately Moses lifts up his staff. There is a way through the sea.
There was a way that God made through the sea. And they were so excited. So they carried all their things. And remember, there were so many. There were so many. All the men.
Plus their children and their wives and their livestock.
Everything. They all passed through there. Okay? So it was about in the evening. So this pillar of cloud, it turned into a pillar of fire. And it was still between the Israelites and the Egyptians. So it became a pillar of fire. And this pillar of fire, it was so big that it illuminated through and they could see right through the Red Sea. So they crossed the Red Sea the whole night long. They went through the Red Sea.
Chapolin, I'm just trying to imagine how it is walking through the sea. That's a miracle on its own.
That's a miracle. I can even imagine, maybe even they were seeing on the water on the side. Maybe they were seeing the fish.
Maybe they even tried to touch.
Of course, I am sure that children must have tried to touch the water that was on the wall while they were walking in there. But they crossed the Red Sea the whole night long. Okay? But when morning started coming, when it was dawn, the last Israelite crossed over and came out of the Red Sea. Okay, and when the Israelites crossed over and came out of the Red Sea, the Egyptians were able to go through and enter also the Red Sea. And they were thinking, we will follow them onto the other side.
So probably the Egyptians are thinking, just because the Israelites have gone through,
Yes.
can also go through
That's
before
what
the
they-
water comes
Yes,
back.
that's what they were actually thinking. They didn't even think the water will come back.
Yeah.
They saw the water had been up like that the whole night. So they thought we can also be able to go
Yeah.
inside there. So they went inside there. But let me tell you what happened. The fire, that pillar of fire, it came and started confusing all the Egyptians.
Whoa.
And they did not know what to do. Some of the wheels of the chariots, they got clogged inside
the
the sand.
sand, yeah.
Yes. And they could not go, and the horses could not go, and they were confused. And when this happened to them, they started getting worried.
Oh
The
my
Egyptians got so worried and were like,
Yeah.
what are we going to do? And they started telling each other, we need to go back. We need to go back. This God of the Israelites is fighting for them.
So that means God used this confusion
Yes.
to make the Egyptians to confuse the Egyptians
Yes.
so they could not continue following the Israelites.
Yes, they
Wow.
were so confused and they didn't know. And even the chariots, the wheels were clogged inside the sand.
So
and
they
some of
could
them,
not even
yeah,
move.
and they were
Yeah.
not even breaking. So they couldn't come out to run away.
Oh.
And then they couldn't because now the sand was there. Let me tell you what happened. And when all this confusion was taking place, Moses was told by the Lord to lift up his staff again. And when Moses lifted up his staff again, do you know what happened?
What happened?
The water came back inside and all the Egyptians drowned.
So first of all, God confuses them.
Yes.
Then they're trapped.
Yes.
In the middle of the sea.
Yes.
And then Moses lifts up his staff again.
Yes.
And all the water comes back.
And all the water comes back.
So that means they all drowned.
Yes. You remember what Moses had told them when they were on the other
Oh.
side and they were worried? Do you remember what he said about the Egyptians?
He actually told the Israelites
Yes.
that the Egyptians you see today, you
You will see them no more. And that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
That was the last of the Egyptians that the Israelites actually saw. So when they were on the other side, they were so happy.
Wow.
They were so excited. And they started singing and they started celebrating. They were thinking, look what God has done
has
for
done
us.
it.
And they were so excited. And as they got excited and they started celebrating, Miriam joined in and they all started singing together.
Wow.
So what we are going to do, children, is we are going to sing a song
Yes.
that will help us and remind us how big our God is and how excited this gets. Okay, so we are
Yeah.
going to share and we are going to sing together.
Yes.
Okay, kids, we need to make sure that we are all standing on this one. Okay, since we are singing, it's a song, it's got actions, so we need to make sure that we are standing. So everybody up, stand up, stand up. Are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready and very excited.
Yes, so let's do this and let's
Yes.
sing this song together. 1, 2, 3. My God is so big, so strong and so mighty, there's nothing my God cannot do. My God is so big, so strong and so mighty, there's nothing my God cannot do. He made the trees, He made the seas, He made the elephants too. My God is so big, so strong and so mighty, there's nothing my God cannot do. My God is so great, so strong and so mighty, there's nothing my God cannot do. My God is so great, so strong and so mighty, there's nothing my God cannot do. The mountains are His, the valleys are His, the stars are His handiwork too. My God is so great, so strong and so mighty, there's nothing my God cannot do. There's nothing my God cannot do. There's nothing my God cannot do for you. Yay! Okay, so this is the part that I really, really love. Do you love doing crafts?
I love doing crafts.
Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to do a craft that will remind us how God parted the Red Sea.
Yes.
Okay, so what we'll need is a piece of paper. So we have a manila paper here. It's almost the size of an A4. Okay, so it's this almost the size of an A4. So you can have it, you can even have it the size of an A4 paper, but it must be a manila paper. So we have a manila paper here, and that's the size of our manila paper. Okay, and then we have two other papers. Okay, now these papers were this size. They were this size from before, Okay, so what we did is we just cut them into half. So you have to make sure that your two papers can be this size. They can be the same color, they can be a different color, it really doesn't matter, okay? And then the other thing that we have is 2 strips of paper, okay? These ones are 2 strips of paper. Now this strip of paper, when we put it on top of this paper, you know, it goes all the way and it's kind of like extended. Let me turn it over so you can be able to see. It's kind of like extended a little bit on this side, and we'll know why it's extended. So we have those ones, but they have to be 2 of them. We also have our colors right here. Today we have some colors and some crayons, okay? So these are the colors that we are using, okay? So we have a blue, we have a brown, we have a purple, and we also have like this white that's right in here, okay? So these are the colors that we are going to use, okay? We also have stapler. These staplers, we are also going to use these staplers together, okay? So the first thing that we are going to do is we are going to color this piece of paper with brown. So here, Teacher Rachel, you can have the brown, I can have a brown. Now remember kids, when we color, let's try and color one direction, okay? Don't go this way and then turn it around and go this way, you know? If you start coloring on your paper, make sure it's one direction, okay? So this is what we do, and make sure you color the whole paper. Can you see what I've done? This is a little bit of what I've colored, but I'll make sure I'll color all the way until the end. And I make sure everything is brown, okay? So let's color. And if you want to guess what this is, I don't know if you'll be able to get the answer. Teacher Rachel, do you know what we are coloring? Why is it brown? Do you know what it is?
The bottom of the sea.
Yes, this is the bottom of the sea. So this brown right here is the color of the sand. And that's why we're making sure it's everywhere. We're making sure it's coloring everywhere, you know? So everything is brown from one end to the other. Make sure you've colored everywhere. Have you finished coloring? Oh, I can see you're still coloring.
Yeah.
Okay, so we need to make sure everything is colored. Some parts are a little bit darker than the other parts, okay? Okay? So I've gotten to the end. Have you gotten to the end? Oh yeah, you've gotten to the end. So that's how my piece of paper looks like when everything is colored brown, okay? So when I put it up, that is it. That is how it looks when it's all brown, okay? Now when we are done coloring this one, I want us to put that aside, okay? And get these other small pieces of paper. These two, we are also going to make sure that we color everything. The other thing that you will realize about my pieces of paper is like they are round. You know, this is what I had done to them, and I made them round like this, okay? And then when I open them up, they're still curved. So you need to make sure that they are curved, and you're able to do that. Then the other color that we'll pick up and color is color blue. We'll make sure we color everything blue in color, okay? So this is what I'll do. I'll make sure I color everything from one end and make sure it's blue. So I keep going, just making sure everything is blue in color. Teacher Rachel,
Yes?
why are we coloring blue?
Because blue is the color of the sea.
Yes, blue is the color of the sea. But the sea, is it usually blue? Or what happens? Now, most of the time we color the sea blue because the sea, the water reflects from the sky.
Oh.
Yes, and that's how come every time we color, it looks like it's blue. Every time you see water, the reason why the water looks like it's blue is because it's just a reflection. Can you see? Yes, of the sky. So my paper looks brown, blue all over, and remember we had carved it. Then we take the other piece of paper and we do the exact same thing. We make sure we color it everywhere. And make sure we color it everywhere and make sure every part is completely covered in blue, because this is where our sea is, okay? So make sure you color everything blue all the way to the end, and everything is blue in color. Okay? The other way that we can almost make it, you add a bit of white, maybe it doesn't even show as much, so that's why we don't use that white. So we have two papers that are blue. Both of them are blue, and remember, we had kind of like rolled them up so that they can become like a roll and they are carved on one side, okay? So the thing that we are going to do with this, okay, is to make sure that this is the sea that's on top of the sand. Remember the first piece of paper that we colored? So we put that down and we place this on top. And when it looks like this, when it's carved, I don't know if you can see from there, when it looks like this, it looks like this is the Red Sea and it's parting and it's on one side is the Red Sea, you know, and it's moving this way. So when it's flat like that, it's the sea is on, and on this side it's carved. But for us to make sure that the Red Sea carves, there's something else we are going to do, and we are going to use our strips of paper. Okay, so what you do is you get a hold of your strip of paper, okay, and then you pick up the paper that you colored blue. On the other side where you've not colored, you take your strip of paper, put it in the middle, and then you take your stapler and staple. My stapler is not stapling. Can I use yours? Can you see? So we've put the strip of paper and we stapled it, and we do the exact same thing with the other one. So we put it in the middle and we make sure that we staple. Okay, so after stapling this piece of paper, then we come and we place this piece of paper right here. Okay, making sure that the strips are on the outside of our manila paper. Can you see that? So if I make this stand, this is where the strip is, okay, and this other side, this is where the strip is. So it's really sticking out. When I turn it over this way, you can tell the strip is right here, and then you can tell that the strip is on the other side. Now this is where you will need help. If you're not able to do this, you can be able to do this with your parents, okay? This side where the strip of paper is coming out, you take your stapler and we staple. Can I use the stapler?
Yes.
So we staple on this end, right at the top. Okay, so this is where the stapler is, and you pick it up again and you staple like right at the end right there. Okay, then you do the exact same thing, making sure the strip is on the outside, but you put it up, and then you make sure you do the exact same thing. You staple the corner, and then you staple on the other side of the corner, and that is stuck. Okay, so when you staple that end, this is what happens. You have a piece of paper and you can make the Red Sea part. Can you imagine? So you pull it out this way and the Red Sea is parting, and you can pull it out on the other side and our Red Sea is parting. Okay, so can you see why you have those pieces of paper? So you pull it out and the Red Sea parts, and you can see the Red Sea has parted. Okay, so this will help us make sure that the Red Sea is parting. So the Red Sea is covered, it has covered everything, and you cannot see any way through. But then now when you pull it, the Red Sea parts. Okay, so what we are going to do is right here where the Red Sea has parted, we are going to take our color purple. Now if you're able to write for yourself, you can write this, but if you're not able, you can ask help from your parents, and this is what we are going to write. I've written it right here. Okay, so I'm hoping that you'll be able to write this, but we'll write it down so that you can be able to see it, and I hope that you can be able to see it. And it says, God parts the Red Sea. So you write God, and then parts the Red Sea. Okay, so that's what you write in the middle. So when it's covered this way, you can't see it. But then now, when you pull it this way, you can see how God parted the Red Sea, and you can have that at home. So children, that's our craft for today. God parting the Red Sea, and he made a way through so that the children of Israel were able to go to the other side, and the Egyptians could not get them. Okay? So our scripture reading is from the book of Exodus, chapter 14, and we're going to read verse 13 and also verse 21. So this is for both you parents and for the kids. So parents, I would like for you just to be able to read these scriptures for your children so that they can get an understanding of where our story is coming from. So I read, this is Exodus 14 and verse 13, and this is what it says. But Moses told the people, do not be afraid. Just stand still and watch the Lord rescue you today. The Egyptians you see today, you will not see them again. The Lord himself will fight for you. Just stay calm. Okay? The other verse of scripture that we will share with you is still from Exodus 14, and this is verse 21. And this is what it said. Then Moses raised his hand over the sea, and the Lord opened a path through the water with a strong east wind. The wind blew all night through the seabed into dry ground. So the people of Israel walked through the middle of the sea on dry ground with walls of water on each side. When we read this scripture, it's amazing how we see God taking care of his people. Even if they were worried, even if the Egyptians were right at their heels, even if the Egyptians were very close by and they had horses and they had men and they had chariots and they had charioteers, it did not matter. God took care of them, and God took care of them with a great miracle. The sea was parted. Nobody could even have ever thought that God was able to do that or was going to do that. But this was a miracle that the children of Israel were able to see. So even as we read through these scriptures, let's all remember that God is there taking care of us. Nothing is too big for our God. Our God is bigger than anything, and that is what we need to remember. So God bless you, and let's wait to see what happens to the children the next time. Thank you, and God bless you.